Welcome, everyone. We're here today, and I'm honored and privileged to have quite knowledgeable James Branch, who's an activist and has been working as an activist for just years. He's an incredibly talented, educated force in this planet, and I'm going to introduce him to you right now. Hello?
Hi, how you doing, Gina?
Hi, how are you, James?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. We was in the middle of trying to prepare our bean soup today.
Okay,
And
that sounds good to me. Good thing that we eat right, so that's a good thing.
yeah, it
I
keeps us
know
healthy.
that this is International Women's Month, and I know that we had the privilege of being at the United Nations Tuesday, and then again on Thursday, and then again on Tuesday. I want you to go ahead and fill us in on current events and share these momentum events that have expired. Okay?
Well, basically, we went there on Monday, and we was there to support Esther Eugene, and
Mhm.
she had basically two activities that was going on. One was 1010 Park Avenue,
Okay.
and the other one was at the UN Church Center.
Okay.
And they cover an array of issues, but they was focusing on the importance of women being involved with technology. I
Okay.
mean, as far as dealing with the issue of designing, teaching, and a few other things related to the usage of technology. So she had some very nice speakers that was there. Not only Queen Mother Dr. Blakely, but the assistant mayor in
Yes,
a
the
town in
assistant mayor from
Maryland.
Maryland, huh?
Yeah, she was very interesting because she also did some work with Microsoft,
Okay.
and as far as dealing with that was pretty good. And she was relatively young. I mean, they said she was like 29 at this particular point, not to
Yeah,
give out
I,
an
I, I
age.
met her. She was very nice. I got her
Yeah, she was
card.
nice, and she was, aggressive, and she's a Nigerian as well.
Okay.
And then she had another one that dealt with the issue that dealt with psychological issues and abusive situations. And she dealt primarily with healing of women who've been abused and a few other things.
Okay. So,
And but as far as the programs that we both attended were, it lasted a couple of hours, but on the UN side, there's still a lot of problems with the United Nations.
yes, absolutely.
One of the things that's going on that's
It's
very
a lot of
disturbing.
problems with the world. So, of course, the United Nations is just a small part of that. The
Well,
individuals that's elected.
the part is dealing with the issue of the MS-13 or these various Latin and Spanish groups being at war with America.
Okay.
And this is relatively bad because they had the Secretary General who's actually from Mexico,
Okay.
and they made it clear that they're at war with the United States over what happened with Texas.
Okay.
And I think that the UN itself should be, picking up and having a dialogue forum as far as, first of all, why they're sending so many people, here to America and disrupting not only Texas, but, New York, Washington, and going to these politicians' homes is not really a kosher thing to do. It's not really a fair thing to do. Send busloads of people over there and talking about well, they got a problem. They're not homeless. Mexico is big.
Hmm.
And they have work that they could do, but I think that the United Nations itself should be, sitting these particular
More
people.
proactive with what's going on. To me, they're very laid back as far as okay. And the other thing is that I heard something that DeSantis said the other day is that he doesn't feel like a lot of these things that say with people that disagree. And he felt because a few people, and we did say that we would welcome people that were having a bad time or had too many prejudices going on in their country and people. But we got that here too as well, because in our schools they shooting up. I'm really want to hear what the women had to say about that. But the whole
Well,
world right now is just really in a shambles. The whole world is just having a lot of hateful things, occurrences going on.
yeah,
And I
well, it really is a bad attitude as far as what's going on, and they're not solving it peacefully. And
no,
that's
it's
why I
not.
say, the leadership of the United Nations should be, arranging some type of dialogue for them, even with the groups, because as far as dealing with, they know who they are.
Mhm.
they said that they, basically set out to, disrupt the United States as far as dealing with it, and basically, demand the land of Texas back to them. And it's not only dealing with the issue of the land of Texas, but then they're probably getting into the money that was dealing with the issue of the revenue they received from the oil from Texas. Those things is what the United Nations should be addressing. Now, as far as dealing with the gun violence and the internal violence that's going on at the global level.
Yes.
One of the things that, of course, was made was that they sit down all the generals, okay, and deal with the issue of having better accountability and ask them, what are they really achieving by causing all these, war games and a few other things. That's another thing that I think the United Nations really shouldn't, allow or promote as far as dealing with the issue of, war games.
Well,
They're
that's
really
true.
benefiting the IRA, okay, the NRA, and they're promoting more guns and stuff like that, but they're not coming up with realistic dialogue forums to help do that. So one of the requests that was made by a group of the women were that they sit down 100 men and have them discuss what their brothers are doing, why are they doing it, and what could be prevented. Now, as you know, I've been working on the issue of them focusing on cleaning up the water scenario so they could get compensated and dealing with, self-realization and values of what they really achieving. One of the cards that we have says it's not jail. So, as far as dealing with them, just robbing and stupid mistress stuff, in New York, you could live in New York without having any money at all. Okay, I mean, you could go play food, you get clothes, be a midnight run, and a few other things, and they have no real reason to go in there and just rob, like the bodegas and stuff like that. And that's where we're not really having, good control over what is the value of the person. So, and even with the churches are really failing as far as what's going on. They're
Yeah,
not
it was
bringing them
incredible.
back.
It was so that you mentioned that. I thought it was disturbing to see all of those homeless people sleeping outside on the other end of the church where opening was, laying out the storm. That was the day of the northeaster with the rain and carrying on and windy and cold. To have those people laying out there like that, and then on the other side to have the women, international women from all concepts and backgrounds, having a conversation with all of these homeless men out laying there in the front without even anybody bringing them plastic to put over them so they wouldn't get wet and cold. It was very windy. I mean, the next day was even worse, however. But for people, and you recognize that's a church kind of like chapel setting, and to have all of those people in the front of the church laying out there like that, not being noticed, and everybody else is talking about what we could do. We got to start right then and there, James, like you said. Any woman would feel like she wouldn't allow this to happen to her child. She wouldn't allow this to happen to her child.
It's a disgrace, realistically, and it really deals with self-esteem and their willingness to take care of them. It's not only the mental illness that's going on, and it is the lack of care as far as what's going on with system overall.
Yeah.
And that's why, everybody kind of like laughed and thought it was stupid. But, the issue of health and handball was really dealing with a simple way that they could have, just utilized the resources of New York, including the park, and, gather and let them have a central part if the churches aren't going to do anything to allow someone to, get their stuff together. Now, when I was in Dr. Blakely's place the other day when they were dealing with this camera thing. I met this brother named Yaya, and Yaya was, he was saying that, he's been working on these issues for many years. He's been going to the council
Well, I
meetings,
can
he's been
believe it
going to
because
things.
nothing is being done. I mean, talking won't change anything. The people that are in charge, they don't have that delicacy, that moment, that caring attitude, probably not as positive and not show up as much as a woman's care. However, we have women that are talking destroy and military too. So I think that through the years and unconsciously, we developed this thing to try to settle with fighting a kind of a ferocious kind of attitude to just attack whatever we don't like what people say or just think, and we're not being conscientious about how we can just help if we just help those in front of us. I thought
Oh,
that.
you're right about that. For dealing with, even dealing with the issue of the gangs. I mean, they need to come to realization that only thing they're dealing with is actually aiding the police and degrading the respect for our own self worth.
Now
That's why
that's
even doing what's going on with the Hispanic population. I mean, it's a big turnoff. And right
Yeah.
now, not only dealing with the issue of the drugs that they're bringing in here, but the reality of the situation is,
And you filmed it, James, so that's so important that you actually filmed it. And while
yeah.
we're live in the studio, what did you think about the women that got up to speak? Did they actually concentrate on the values of life? Had the conversation in front of the United States like you and me have constantly all the time with the different groups, whether they be sick or poor or homeless? Or did they
Yeah.
mention any of the things that we really care about to make the difference, to make that change? I'm
Well,
sorry that I missed it.
it comes into, yes, they did speak about it, and yes, they are looking for solutions, and yes, they did call for the brothers to sit down and talk to the brothers, which I'm in agreement with, and that's why even dealing with the issue of the getting the cleaning up the waters and a few other things is very relevant. But one of the things that's hampering is that they're playing too many money games and not allowing us to really collect the money that we need to deal with that. Before you approach somebody and saying you're going to help them, they're going to say, "With what? Not if you're sleeping on the streets yourself." They're not going to say, "What do you have to show that you have the ability to help them?" And as far as dealing with that, the UN and the problems of what's going on with technology is that they don't trust. Okay, there's no trust, and they wrote the laws to deal with the reality is that you can't meet the people face to face. Okay, and that's what's wrong, and that's when they're saying, that's how they deal with these internet scams. Okay,
Yeah, well,
one of the things with the technology is that they need to have a serious identification, and it came from England, really,
right.
as far as where they can't just go in and buy a phone without having the ID of the person attached to the phone. If they go in there and get these little, cheap, you put $20 up and they give you a number, but you don't know
Where the
who
phone
this
came from,
person is.
who was it previous with, what it's attached to, negative things even possibly.
Yeah,
Yes, it's really terrible.
and
People
that's
that
where
are very intelligent are getting scammed though. They had someone I don't know what channel it was, channel 2 or channel 7, retired lawyer that got scammed for at least about 800,000 or something by just giving your information to someone you don't know is not a good idea. Period.
one of the things that they also coming up with, they're having a conference at the World Bank that's going to be in the. I sent you the link to it.
Yeah, I
It's
know
in
the
the,
World Bank. That's another. Here's the thing. I don't want to take anything away from the banking, but me as a people, an indigenous people, we can't afford to fool around with a bank. And then we have our families and ourselves to take care of. And then all of a sudden, these people. I was at the Lincoln Center. The Japanese woman player won 12 or 13 Grammys on Friday. There was a lady that was sitting there next to us that was conversating. Her family had $5 million in that bank that crashed for her
yeah, the
business.
Silicon Valley
Yeah,
Bank.
but this was for the woman. This is her and her daughter. This is for their business. This is how they pay their people that work for them and so forth. When you just been a scam from the jump street, and the other thing that's heartfelt is that these banks and these institutions were approved. Because if they weren't approved, they wouldn't have been opening the banks. You know what I mean, James? If you and I had $5 million, for them to say, okay, but don't worry, we'll steal the $5 million, but the FDIC will give you back 250,000. That's still, that causes like 50, 60 years ago, that caused people to jump off the roof and jump in the river. You know what I mean?
That's
James.
that's a very bad policy that the FDIC has.
Yeah.
And when they
Now, if
came
they're
in
going to
to start
improve
work,
it, if they want to make things right, why not just make justice called a hand? If somebody has 10 or 20 million dollars in your bank that's helping you thrive and helping you get more business, why can't the insurance for a person that puts that type of money in the bank, why can't their FDIC be a match? That's what you call, I mean, when banks first got started, but here it is. It's another way to punish individuals that are poor, probably more so. So in other words, if the person that is poor, if they lose everything, they figure the way they look at things and the way they look at life is that, oh, they never had nothing anyway. If they made something for a while, it won't bother them if we take it all away from them. But as long as we always keep the super rich rich, that's fine. We can let the people that have to work hard and struggle and take everything from under them, sweep it under them. They'll be fine because they never had nothing in the first place. And that's, sadly to say, James, is the problem that I see with this thing and where this thing is going. And then right after that, now they're talking about another bank and another bank. And now they're talking about, just think about it. Here it is. A lot of women are single women that have kids that they have to raise the kids on their own, unfortunately. Just think about it. They got child care. They got to take care of their kids and everything else that goes along with a kid, whether it be boy or girl, doesn't make a difference, or maybe boy and girl. Then they doing the best that they can to send their kids to school and everything else. And they saving. Maybe they have another country that they want to save. They can get things better when they want to retire. They want to go back there. They want to build. They put the thing in the bank here to try to do better, to send to their country and their folks and everything. And then all of a sudden, these people decide, these rich people, well, I don't want to do this no more. Let's just take it all. They're all, what is that but thieves? Ain't that criminal, James? What
It
is
is
wrong with
criminal, and
it?
that's why a lot of them have been going to jail. I mean, if you really look at it, it's
I
every
didn't
other
see
day.
one person that they say going to jail.
Well, Michael Cohen was one of them who worked on Trump's campaign. He
Yeah.
just got out recently. He was just in court over, was it Stormy Daniels, as far as what was going on.
I'm talking
The
about
guy
people.
of FX or something like that, as far as dealing with the cryptocurrency stuff,
Now the
he's
crypto
in the
thing is
process of being
this
arrested.
thing. Here you are. You tell people of color that they got a chance now, because with this crypto thing, they can get and invest in this. They don't have to worry about no losses. They don't have to worry about nothing. And so they don't have much, but what they want to put in, their idea is to be able to make something so for their kids or their nieces and their nephews, whoever when they not here on this earth, whoever they want to leave situated, whether that be their own kids or their grandkids or their grandnieces or nephews, whoever it is. But then when these people just come up with their crap and steal everything and take everything, and then the people, they said, well, the people that just made the investment to try to get something for, too bad for them. That's what I mean. That's what I heard. They not going to get even FDIC. If they just worked hard and saved, like most people that come here to get themselves together and just save their money and go to a bank to put it in there with the interest of, in 20 years, 30 years, when I'm retired and my kids become an age, or my grandchildren that's not even here yet, I want to be able to leave this for them. And when they sweep it away, and now they have nothing, what is this?
Well, we understand what you're saying, but the reality of the situation is that
I'm interested
even
in
what
hearing what the
you
women
have to
say.
have, you have to have some type of safeguards, embedded in the system.
Hmm.
And what the real problem is that the church itself has fallen apart, and they haven't been able to, deal with the issue of honesty and reconciliation of the problem.
Hmm.
So, as you know, the Pope has been calling for reform and a few other things.
Hmm.
And also recently, Pope Francis Assisi said that the former Pope John whatever, knew about the crimes that was going on and people in the name of the church and what they were doing. And being at that
Well,
level, they didn't
that
deal with
wouldn't
the
bother me
issue of
so
bringing
much
them
because,
out.
James, see, that wouldn't bother me so much because these individuals are still a human being. What's the problem is the people that are all around, and that I call it a continuum of these individuals that work in the same environment, in the same atmosphere. that they don't say something, because it just takes one person to pull out of a thing. It takes one person to pull out a rotten apple out of the batch. Because we're human beings and we will make mistakes. And some of us are unfortunately thieves and killers and murderers and rapists and all these other things. We do have these individuals that are amongst us. But the problem is that nobody gets involved anymore. Nobody cares. Like before, you could see kids that, and you know, in our days, somebody saw you and you wasn't in school. Before you got home, your mom already knew and your dad already knew that you didn't go to school. They don't care. They see the kids running around in the street. They won't even, and they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it is. One of the movies
How
that
do you
was.
think these kids are getting guns and all kinds of things? They can't get it, James. They don't have no jobs. They don't have no money. It's these negative people in the street that give these kids all of these negativities. You
Yeah,
know
but
that. Start
you
them
know,
smoking. Start them with drugs. Start them with these things. By telling them, encouraging them, listen, kid, you don't know me, but you got a bad way. Listen, you take this here and I'll help you. I'll give you money. You bring me this back here. Look, I'll give you a gun. I'll give you these things. These little children. They're not responsible. I mean, they're responsible once they actually do something. But where's the people that used to walk around and just check and grab the kids and grab them out the street and take them to the school or take them to their parents? Patrol, what do you call them? Patroon or whatever we used to have in our day. Where are these individuals now?
well, half of them are locked up themselves, and then even dealing with the problems that was going on. A lot of members, remember Sonny Carson, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Sonny Carson had a very strong group in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know. We were part of that. Remember? It's in Central
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
but even though he was doing all this stuff as far as the goodness that was going on, how did he become arrested and put in jail himself?
Well, that's what they
Another
want to
one.
do. James, they want to arrest the people that want to change the thing to make it right. Anytime we
Another,
see things that's negative, the force is, because you got to understand the way it goes, we see over and over. The government may not say, but the government is used to making this kind of awesome type of millions and billions of dollars off of these drugs.
yeah,
So
well, that's dealing with the Hispanic, network. No, one of the
you
movies that
can't say
really,
Hispanic network because that's all over. Everybody uses drugs. You can
you're not using drugs.
No, not me. I don't. But I'm just saying.
No, don't say everybody.
No. Well, when I mean everybody, every culture, every people on this planet, because it's a way to make a lot of money. That here's the other thing: no taxes have to be paid on these things. All of these illegal things, these people can do that, and there's no taxes. There's no consequences for them to have to pay. You and I, every time we go in the store, what do we have to buy? When we buy anything, isn't there a tax that we have to pay? But between a dealer and some innocent children, and ignorant and innocent individuals, and some that know exactly what they want to do. The crime-hearted criminals, or just people that are addicts. They know exactly what they're doing. But this is a way that they can make income and live like under the scope of, say, a doctor or a lawyer or a judge. You know what I mean? James, you are so deep, brother. You know that we already went through our time span. So you know that this means next month we have to continue.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I want to say one thing before you
Sure.
close out.
Okay.
One is real quick.
Okay.
If you really watch The Godfather,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the real Godfather,
Mm-hmm.
it really explained what's going wrong in the system.
Yeah,
And
but The
that was because
Godfather is a mythical story that somebody put together. But yes, it is like that. I'm not contradicting it.
that was real. That was real.
I know, but it is like that. But then there's That was, they were showing you on account of the Italian mafia. There's the Chinese mafia. There's the Japanese mafia. There's the African mafia. There's the Irish mafia. There's the, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, that's where you're dealing with the core of the problem. All right, Gina, I know you have to go. Blessings.
Blessings.
And we look
Nam yo
forward to
harenge
talking
kyo.
to you soon.
Give Miss
And,
Tiffany my love and tell her we will be vacationing next week. I can't wait.
all right, look into the airline as far as dealing with it, all right? We're going
All
to
right.
look into it as well, okay?
Okay.
Blessings, and I'll talk to you a little bit later on, all right?
All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much, James. That was
Okay.
very resourceful. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Real Self Talk with Sylvia Gina Hunt. And now watch this brief slideshow from the United Nations Women's Day. Enjoy. Thanks for watching this amazing slideshow from the United Nations Women's Day. And now check out this speech by Dr. Blakely. Enjoy.
In the spirit of Queen Mother, now you hear the word reparations. Reparations now for that crime committed against some of us. But to have Miriam Makeba, daughter of Nigeria, a first lady of Nigeria, on her knees, helping to bathe Queen Mother Board, I will never forget her. And in her spirit, we women stand here and give thanks to a country and to the largest country of African people, Nigeria.